Have a very wonderful evening, everyone. Welcome to the third live stream here on Haruki Murakami art. Let me switch on the camera. I hope everyone can see me. Hello, hello. I hope you could start your weekend right off and that you can enjoy your evening. We have reached the end of January and I would like to take this opportunity to do another live stream with you, to talk about Murakami, share some news, listen to some music, because we have some new music for everyone who loves Murakami. And also we will have a main topic, which is Hardboiled Wonderland and the End of the World. Why this book? Because I have recently finished it, and last week I have uploaded my final review on it. So I think this is a good opportunity. But before we switch to the main topic, let's talk about some news. Let's see what has happened in Murakami world. But before we do so, in case anyone is on chat right now, I can't see the statistics. I think we are a very small round. But in case someone is there, let me know where you guys are from, who am I talking to, what time you got, and how you are all feeling. So, I guess most of you know it. I am in Germany, so we have 10:30 p.m. in the evening here. It is cold outside. So we have a mix of rain and snow. Not my type of weather, but it is this time of the year, so nothing we can do about. We have to accept the fact before the beautiful spring starts. It is cold. Yeah. All right, seems we have a very, very, very small round here, so we don't need to wait for chat. Of course, we will keep the stream running independent from how many viewers we have here, because we will save it afterwards. So anyone who couldn't join it live can watch this video later, because we have some news we can share. First of all, if you have watched the news closely, we have a new Murakami movie coming in the next days, and it is an adaptation of Blind Willow, Sleeping Woman. So this will be an animation film, and it will have its US premiere tomorrow. So let me share you my screen, because there is a festival running in New York, I think. So let me show you what is going on here. There we go. So you can see on the top that there is a festival called FIAF. So this is not the name of the festival, sorry, but this is the host. So FI is French Institute and AF is Alliance Française. So they will hold an animation first festival, which has started today in New York. And Blind Willow, Sleeping Woman will be shown tomorrow at 6 p.m. in New York. So 6 p.m. local time. I think we are 6 hours ahead here, but this will be the official US premiere. And as far as I know, as far as I understood, the director Pierre Feldes will be there for a short question round. But as I've told you in the last stream, we will have an interview together next week. So I will give you the chance to ask your questions. So you can expect a short video next week. So you can put your comments below the video and ask the questions you always wanted to ask, or everything you want to know from Pierre, because the trailer looks amazing. It has a very cool animation style and has this special Murakami vibe. So I will let you know. You can also ask your questions now, because the chat is not too busy, I think. so they won't fall under the radar. I can note them, that's no problem. Another option is that you can send them to me by mail, but this announcement will come very soon. And I see we have some comments. So Olga is back again. Hello, Olga. Very nice to see you. Stormbreak is from Puerto Rico. What time you got over there? And Ellen is back again. Welcome, Ellen. Greetings to Suffolk. I hope you're all doing great. I hope you all had a good start into the weekend. I was working today, went to the gym afterwards, had a nice dinner, and now I'm sitting here to chat with you guys. So Blind Willow Sleeping Woman has its premiere tomorrow, and I'm really, really, really stoked to see the first reviews. I think we can read the first reviews next week. So this is the usual time gap they have. And here are some information about the Animation First Festival in New York. So this one is focusing on French animation films only. So this is a niche, right? As you can see here, it will show 7 feature films right there. 7 feature films. And then there are 5 short film programs with over 65 new shorts. So this is a packed festival with a lot of independent films from France. Something I would love to be there. Not because of the Murakami film only, but I think this is a program packed with a lot of visions, amazing animations. I'm not sure if you can watch it online. I don't think so. But if there's anyone who attends this festival, please let us know how it was, especially how Blind Willow Sleeping Woman was. This will be a very huge topic for us in the coming weeks. Really looking forward. So, another news I would like to share with you is there is a new jazz single which has dropped today. A Murakami-themed jazz single by a German musician who has released a Murakami-themed jazz album last year. Has anyone heard of Sebastian Gala and his album New Moon? No, sorry, Two Moons. I don't know what's happening. So that's the man, Sebastian Gala. And he has released a whole Murakami-themed jazz album last year. And all the tracks also have Murakami-themed titles. So there's one track called Kafka Tamura. Another track is called Colonel Sanders. Another track is called Naoko from Norwegian Wood. And this album is really, really, really a nice piece of music. And Sebastian has shared another single today, which is called Colonel Sanders from Kafka on the Shore. And this is recorded in an analog session. I haven't listened to it now. I would like to listen to it with you together. So I paused the video here. We can listen to it in a few minutes, I think. But before, I would like to share an excerpt of the album trailer, which has been released last year. I'm not sure if we can watch the whole video because YouTube has been very strict with copyrights in the past weeks. So I don't want this video to be striked, right? So we can watch some seconds of the video, so you have an impression of who Sebastian is, how his music sounds like, and in general what this album is all about. So let's just watch it together. Stormbreak says 5:38 p.m. in Puerto Rico. I read Murakami in Spanish. Very nice. Very nice. I'm afraid my Spanish is not so good. Un poco. All right. So let's roll the trailer here. I'm going to put on my headphones. And let's see what Sebastian has to tell us.
This is the first novel by Haruki Murakami that I ever read. A Wild Sheep Chase, and that's about 20 years ago now, as you can probably tell by the looks of this book. Ever since I've been drawn to his works, and it's always been an idea of mine to set some of Murakami's characters to music. We have Kafka Tamura, the mysterious girlfriend with magical ears, the boy named Crow, Tango Aomame, and many more coming to life on this album. So I'm super excited to finally share with you my new album, Two Moons. In the summer of 2020, I had the opportunity to put together a band for a jazz festival in my hometown Düsseldorf. So I asked Dennis Gäbe on saxophone, Matthias Akeo-Nowak on bass, and Ralf Gessler on drums. We have known each other for years and have played together on many occasions, but never really the four of us as a band. And I still remember the gig went really well. We were extremely satisfied after the gig, and as soon as I got off the stage and we were backstage, I said to myself, I want to record my new album with these cats. And so I did. If you are into jazz music or love to read Murakami's books like I do, please check out my new album, Two Moons, on Jazzsick Records.
All right. Unfortunately I can't play the full video because I will get a copyright strike by YouTube. But isn't this the ultimate Murakami album? I mean, we have a track list with names from his books. It is a very nice jazz session in the video, and I can tell you, I've listened to this album many times in my car. You can listen to it on Spotify, and I've talked to Sebastian a few times, so we are in contact. A very cool, genuine gentleman. So if you need a relaxation, if you need a timeout, or if you just want to dive into this jazz session, please listen to this album. I can definitely recommend it. I think we can try to listen to the new single from today, which is the acoustic session. Let's try the first minute because I'm not sure if YouTube will strike this video afterwards, and just to avoid it, and also don't want to hurt his copyright. I want the people to listen to his music on his own channel, so just don't want to take this away. So Murakami Jazz, now I need to listen to this album. Yes, do it. You won't regret it. It's definitely very cool and smooth, but also full of feelings. If you take a look on the track list, you can relate to the titles, and somehow it will also take you back to the books that you have read. Good evening, Stavros. Nice to see you again. Happy to see you. All right, let's give it another try. Let's listen to the new single, Colonel Sanders, and then we can switch to the next topics. Right, let's go. Okay. What did you feel? I had the feeling of Colonel Sanders coming down the stairs and greeting our protagonist in a very mean way, maybe. Such a smooth track. What do you think? I like it. I can't play it in full now. I have to listen to it later. It's cool. It's really, really cool. Great job. Let me know what you think. In the meantime, I will tell you what you can expect next on my channel. Because I had to reschedule a bit. The original plan was to release the second podcast episode. And the subject was Kafka Tamura. So the character Kafka Tamura. But we had to reschedule this due to health reasons. Not from my end, but my partner was a bit sick in the last days. So bless at this point. Hope he's feeling better. But in return, I will provide you 2 episodes of the podcast next month. So originally it was planned to have 1 podcast per month, but we will have 2. And next week I will have the recordings for it. So one will be the interview with Pierre for the movie, and another one will be a short special, I think. I'm gonna talk to a very cool guy who is designing Murakami wall arts, the one that you can see there. So we'll talk about his work, and I think that's something really interesting for those who want to hang Murakami pictures on their wall. So this will be one of the 2 videos. And after that, we will switch to the Wind-Up Bird Chronicle. So I think 2 to 3 videos about Blind Willow Sleeping Woman, because every time a Murakami movie gets released, it is something special for us, I think. So this will be a huge subject on this channel, but afterwards we will have the Wind-Up Bird Chronicle, because this was something very misregarded on my channel. And the book deserves more, definitely. I had the feeling of Rainy Night in Tokyo, a bar in a skyscraper. Yes, it has this mood, right? This night mood. So smooth and relaxing. I was thinking of, I just saw Colonel Sanders in my mind in the streets of Tokyo, how he's just walking towards the character in a mean way. Maybe we will have the chance to talk to Sebastian soon, so he can tell us what his vision was during this trek. Beautiful. All right. So let's talk about Hardboiled Wonderland and the end of the world, because this was the topic I have been teasing. Who of you has read it already? In the meantime, also let me know what you think about the book if you have read it. In the meantime, I will share my thoughts and also tell a little bit about the story. So Hardboiled Wonderland and the End of the World is set in 1985 in Tokyo. And we follow the story of a nameless protagonist who has a very, let's call it, undercover job. So he is reading data for the government. And he reads the data with his brain. So he is like a human computer. And somehow, it is not clear how, but somehow he is hiding important data for the government. And he also encrypts and washes it inside his head. So in my understanding, it was like he is saving codes inside his brain, encrypts them, so he hides them from dangerous subjects who work against the government. And in fact, we have a fraction that is fighting against the government. So the main protagonist is a so-called Calcutech. So he's on the, let's say, good side because he's working for the government. And the bad guys are the semiotics. So the semiotics are fallen. So they are ex-Calcutechs. They have been working for the government, but they're not doing it anymore. And they try to steal the data from the Calcutech. And the Calcutech has the job to hide and save this data inside his brain. And at the beginning of the story, he is in an elevator because he has been called to a building by a professor who has a very special job for him. But it's not ending there. So before he can meet the professor, he has to take a very dark path, a very dark way through the underground of Tokyo, and gets to know what is hiding under Tokyo. So there seem to be dangerous creatures that eat humans. And he has to make his way to find the professor who has a job for him that is not officially signed by the government. So he becomes somehow not an outlaw, but he does a job that is not granted by the government. And the professor gives him the job to read data out of a unicorn skull. And in the same time, so the chapter switches between two narratives. So we have the story of the Calcutech, which is taking place in Tokyo. And then we have chapters that are being told by another nameless character in a winter wonderland. And this winter wonderland is called The End of the World. So the end of the world is somehow a medieval city. It's not exactly taking place during our times, but somehow they still use the normal technology, at least the technology that was normal back in the 80s. And when you enter this city, which is called the end of the world, you have to cut off your shadow. So you can't enter the city without cutting off your shadow, but the shadow still remains alive. So the shadow is under constant supervision by a gatekeeper who uses the shadow to perform works for the end of the world. So the shadow is helping him to do work. And the character that has entered the end of the world has a similar job. He has to read old dreams and put them together. And the longer he stays there, the more he enjoys the end of the world. He feels comfortable there because there is no anger, no stress. People seem to be very happy and relaxed, but this comes back to the fact that they don't have emotions anymore. And he is allowed to visit his shadow from time to time, and the shadow is losing a lot of his life. So the more time he spends there, the more spirit he loses. And the shadow warns him, tells him that he doesn't think it is worth to stay there because you are giving away your emotions. And somehow these two narratives, these two stories are connected with each other. And before we switch to my opinion, let me read what you have wrote here. Such an amazing record. Of course, definitely. Stavros, please listen to the album. It's worth the time. It's on Spotify, free to listen. It's a very beautiful album. And then, I've read it twice. For me, it's the most intense thriller among Murakami's novels. Yes. It feels like a tech thriller. People chasing each other and hiding data, so it's a real thriller. That's right. I have the book but haven't read it yet. It's waiting for me along with 1Q84 and A Wild Sheep Chase. I can't wait to start them, but I have some other unreads that take priority. It is quite the same with me, because Hardboiled Wonderland is something I bought quite a while ago, but somehow I didn't I don't know, I've been pushing it a lot to start the book. And when I started it, it took me 3 attempts to finish the first 50 pages. Normally, I'm a very fast reader. I suck the books in, but I really had my difficulties with Hardboiled Wonderland because on one hand, I wasn't interested that much in the story. On the other hand, even if the language is typical Murakami, I thought that it was a little bit difficult at the beginning because it was so extensive in metaphors and descriptions. It didn't bore me, but it somehow stressed me to read it. Especially a passage in the middle of the book. I will describe it later when I'm coming to my review. I had the impression that he took it very far this time. I think about shadows in Murakami's novels. Are they related to the shadows in Carl Jung's philosophy? You need to tell me a little bit more about this because I'm not familiar with it. But shadows are a main, or let's say, a topic that is present in many of his books, especially in Kafka on the Shore. Half of the spirit of Miss Seiki, half of the spirit of Nakata. And also it is something very present in Japanese mythology. So, as I have told you, I had my difficulties with the book. It is not that long. It has a very medium size, 500 pages. Easy to read, but I'm still trying to find the words to describe why I had this hard access. So the descriptions were typical, but I think this time he took it very, very far. Let's just, as an example, let's take the description of the unicorns at the end of the world. So it is described that they are located in front of the city on a field. And I think it took very long to describe the sunlight that is shading over the animals. I thought this was something you can tell in 2 or 3 sentences. You don't need a whole page to tell it. Patricia, welcome to the live stream. We are talking about Hardboiled Wonderland and the End of the World. Very warm welcome to you. I'm not sure if you have read it already. If so, please let us know what you thought about the book. Also the same with, so let's get back to the extensive descriptions. I had the same issue with the path that our nameless character in Tokyo has to take to reach the professor. I think it was described so extensively, so not difficult, but also not boresome. I'm still trying to find the word. So he tries to find his way through the darkness, but it feels like you are losing the words in the darkness. Also the dangers that are hidden there. So in my own mind, if I'm taking a way through this passage and I know that there are creatures that can eat me, that want to eat me, it is written too slow somehow. Don't know what you guys think. The one I haven't read yet. Yeah, you're not the only one on the chat, so there are also some other readers that haven't read it yet, and also it took me a long time to start the book. So I bought it a while ago and started last summer. And in case you have missed it, so I needed 3 attempts to finish the first 50 pages, but finally I have enjoyed it. So we can take it further now. So as the story evolves, the pacing of the story gets a little bit faster because there are thrilling elements. There are some thrilling elements that that let the story move forward a lot. So new characters are being introduced, also some action-packed passages, and as I said, the pacing gets much quicker. Things get revealed. Not every question is answered through the book, but most of the questions are being answered. And of course, it is always a question of interpretation with Murakami. So you can give away the book to 5 people, and everyone is telling you something different, has a different opinion, has a different interpretation on the book. The thing is, I really enjoyed the Tokyo passages, the Tokyo chapters a lot at the beginning. I liked them more than the end of the world, because I thought that the end of the world was described too extensively, as I said. But then there was a turn in the middle of the book. I really started to enjoy the passages which were located at the end of the world more. Because there were some dialogues in it that I really enjoyed, different opinions of the people living there, telling us what they like about this medieval town and what they don't like about it. And some of this was a mirror of the society. So I think that Murakami was hiding a little bit of criticism on society in these passages, because Tokyo at this time was living in an economic bubble. So you can ask many people from Tokyo how Tokyo was in the 80s. So people were spending their money on useless things like taxis and partying and so on. And also they were working a lot, which is still an issue today, but back in the days it was a little bit more than today. And they were losing their souls. And this is not worth the fun if you're giving away emotions, if you're giving away quality of life. So if you're watching interviews, or if you're reading eyewitnesses that lived during that time, they will tell you that they used to work a lot. The evenings were spent with working colleagues and not with the family, just to party, to spend their money. And this is somehow relating to the subject that once you enter the end of the world, you are giving away your shadow and you're losing a lot of emotions. I guess this is something he wants to transport with this novel as well. But of course, that's only my interpretation. By the end of the book, I really enjoyed it. I don't want to spoil now. I got a little bit emotional at the end. Just for those that have read the book, the passage at the lake was very beautifully written. And I had some sad music in my head. I really enjoyed it at the end. But let's see what you guys have written now. For me, descriptions of women in this novel was really unpleasant. I feel some fat shaming here. Yes, especially the granddaughter of the professor. Same here. I can totally relate, because it was written in a very disrespectful way, I think. It feels like her character was defined through her body and not what she has in mind. I don't know. Just finished 1Q84 and currently listening to Hear the Wind Sing and Pinball. Very nice. 1Q84 is an epic saga. How did you like the book? So you have started with Hear the Wind Sing and Pinball. You have started the trilogy of the Rat, so Murakami's first books. I need to reread them again. So the book club I have been referring to in the last stream reads Hear the Wind Sing through Discord right now. And it's a great opportunity to read this book again, because I think I read it back in 2019 and forgot a lot of things, I must say. It seems to me that the medieval city, the end of the world, is very similar to the Limbo Forest and Kafka on the Shore. Yes, there is a connection. I also think that, because the Limbo is somehow a neutral point between life and death. Of Of course, in this book, this is something made up in someone's mind, but the surroundings and also the happenings and the characteristics are very similar. Something shapeless, soulless, where you can lift your mind to several abilities like the dream reading, giving away your soul, something very, very familiar, relatable to the limbo in Kafka on the Shore. Freaky, welcome back. Didn't get the notification. Good evening and good night. No problem. Always happy to read your comments. Very nice to see you again. I love all the bizarre and strangeness. Loved 1Q84. Yes, very bizarre book, but still very grounded, I think, because he has mixed, again, fantasy with realism. I really enjoyed it as well. Even if it has 1,500 pages, it doesn't feel like it. It's like you're watching a long movie and it doesn't feel like a long movie, which is a very good sign for the pacing. So 1Q84 has a very constant pacing. Of course, book 3 feels a little bit different because of Ushikawa, but I think it was very thrilling because Ushikawa was the threat for Aomame and Tengo. And as you care for these characters, you were really keen to find out how Ushikawa's story evolves because he was the danger for our two main characters. And everything we wanted was that these two people meet again. So this was something I wished for, and I won't spoil if they meet again because maybe we have some people here who haven't read 1Q84 yet. But over and all, very beautiful saga, very beautiful novel, and I also think one of the most mainstream books of Murakami. So it is one of those novels that people in general read together with Kafka on the Shore, but stop at this point if they if they're not interested too much into Murakami. And also one of those books that everyone wants a movie of or a TV series. And I think it would perform very well as a mini-series. Something I'm telling every time. I think 1Q84 would be very cool as a series. So Hardboiled Wonderland also reminded me of a lot of different films. We're already talking about films. The Matrix, also Johnny Mnemonic. Johnny Mnemonic is a film from 1995, also with Keanu Reeves. And Keanu Reeves plays a character which is quite similar to our Calcutech from Hardboiled Wonderland. So Johnny Mnemonic has to save governmental data inside his head. And this movie is based on a book from 1981. And Murakami has been asked if this book was an inspiration for him, but he said no, this is something from his own mind. So I'm not sure if he knows Johnny Mnemonic before, but he said this was not an inspiration, but this is very similar. I think I watched Johnny Mnemonic around 10 years ago, but this was the first thing that came into my mind because there is a guy who is hiding governmental data inside his head. And the funny thing is, as this story is set in 1995, he says, I have to hide 80 gigabytes of data inside my brain. And by that time, 80 gigabytes was huge. So today, it is not even enough to install a game like GTA 5 or Red Dead Redemption. A very funny side fact. So Johnny Mnemonic is something that reminded me. So if you liked Hardboiled Wonderland, go watch this movie. It is a tech thriller, very fast, not really comparable, but has a quite similar situation. And also I thought a lot of Game of Thrones because it was the end of the world with the white wall, a gatekeeper that is watching over this world. So I don't know what you guys felt when you were... I don't know if you have read it before or afterwards, but maybe you can relate to this. Aomame and Tengo are too cool. Haruki needed someone super ugly for the balance in the third book. Yes, Ushikawa with his oversized head and his character was very horrible, I think. He was a pest. The way he stresses people and doesn't leave them alone. Ushikawa was really, really, really a pest. So it's not only an ugly face he has, it's also an ugly character. Murakami is absolutely about the balance. Yep. Typical elements of Greek dramas, I think. And also typical elements of a villain. So good and evil, and they have to keep the balance. Because evil also shows how bright the good is. So if you have a villain in a book or in a story, the villain always stands for showing how important the positive character is. Because without the darkness, there would be no light. And we also need to care about the characters. So if they're not in constant danger, the story will bore us. We need to care about these people. And I think he contradicts these two facts very good. Out of topic, I just saw your Baby Huey vinyl in the background. Great tune. Yes, thank you. I love it. I love it. So I bought this, I think, 6 or 7 years ago. It's not the original press, but one of the greatest albums ever exist, I think. Baby Huey is gone too soon, definitely. So this album was a great start, but unfortunately, his one and only album, he left us very, very early. What do you listen to in general? Let me know. I have some vinyls at home, but yeah. Also, although I haven't read it, but your description for Hardboiled Wonderland gave me some Alphaville, a Godard sci-fi movie vibes. Haven't watched it. Alphaville. Let me check some pictures. Alphaville. So this one seems to be from 1965. Let's see. Yes, absolutely right. Some very similar elements. Let's see. Lemmy is a secret agent with the code number of 003 from the Outlands. Entering Alphaville in his Ford Galaxy, he poses as a journalist named Ivan Johnson and claims to work for the Figaro Pravda. Yeah, same thing. So he enters a city. And we have computers here. I need to watch this. Thank you for the hint. Sounds very, very similar. So this somehow serves like a predecessor of The Matrix. I mean, The Matrix, of course, it was a cool movie back then, but the inspirations are obvious, right? The story itself wasn't that new, I think. So there have always been conspiracy theories that we are controlled by computers, or that we are not in a real world but in a simulation. But the way Matrix transported it was different and groundbreaking by the time. And I think the fact that the following movies of The Matrix, even if I enjoyed them somehow, but not the last part, but the fact that these movies didn't perform as well as the first part did just shows that the topic is nothing brand new. I don't know if you if you also have watched Stalker. Stalker is the Soviet movie from Tarkovsky, which is a very beautiful movie, I think. One of my favorite sci-fi movies. also reminds me a lot of Murakami, because Stalker is set in a dystopian future, and there is a zone outside of the city where people are living. There's a zone where the dimensions seem to interfere with other stuff and strange happenings and so on. It is also quite similar to the movie Annihilation with Natalie Portman on Netflix, but Stalker is the real thing. Beautiful movie, by the way. I can show you some insights on Stalker. Very artistic pictures. So here you can see the picture on the right side. This is, I think, maybe this is the passage where these three guys leave the city to enter the zone, right? Which have a sepia tone, so the colors are in a sepia tone, and once they enter the zone, it is colored, right? So this is how the zone looks like. So flooded by nature. And as they say here, the zone is a very complex maze of traps. And I think the making of this movie was also very stressed for the actors, because they were shooting in an area where radiation was very high, and many of them had suffered cancer afterwards. So very misfortune production, but still, I think, one of the greatest sci-fi movies ever. Stalker is too depressive. I guess book by Strugatsky is deeper. I haven't read the book, I can tell you, actually, but it's true, the film has a very slow pacing. It might feel depressive. I can share that because it plays a lot with your emotions. And you have to watch every single second of it to get the most out of it. So it is not a film you should watch with your smartphone in your hand. But I don't think that the audience that is watching Stalker anyways is an audience that has its smartphone in its hands. Even if through TikTok and Instagram our mind is not able to progress more longer or deeper subjects nowadays, but I think we still have a very good audience that can watch these films. Also, this is one of the most famous pictures with the dog. It's a very artistic film. I can definitely recommend to watch it. I think there is a HD version on YouTube. Stalker full movie, I think. Yeah, there it is. So almost 3 hours. So if you guys want to watch it, definitely do it. It's a very beautiful film. I love it. So Hardboiled Wonderland is among the fan favorites, I think. It is a little bit underrated because it is not quoted amongst his most famous works. So every time you talk about Murakami, people talk about Norwegian Wood, Kafka on the Shore, 1Q84, also South of the Border, West of the Sun, and the Wind Up Bird Chronicle. But Hardboiled Wonderland is something that is not always mentioned in the top 3, I think. Only if you're really talking to fans, but critics don't mention it that much. This is something I found out while I was doing some research for the book, while I was editing my video about it. But it is a huge inspiration for many filmmakers, as we have talked about it. So the Wachowski sisters that have directed the Matrix trilogy quoted Hardboiled Wonderland as a huge inspiration. Also, I think it was, don't let me lie, but I think Steven Spielberg said that he loved Hardboiled Wonderland. And also Alex Garland. So Alex Garland is a British director, and he has made movies such Ex Machina and also a movie called Men. Do you know Men? Any one of you? I've watched it last week. So Men is something difficult to describe. So Men is telling the story of a woman who has escaped from a very toxic relation, or let's say from a very toxic marriage, and her husband has committed suicide, but he has been oppressing her emotionally. So it was an emotional abusement. And she decides to spend a few days at the countryside. And I think most of you will have a smile now, because it's always the same thing in Murakami's books. I need to spend some days at the countryside. And this is the same thing that is happening in Men. So she books an Airbnb at the countryside in the UK. And from there she starts to see different characters, but all have the same face. It's always the same man, and it's not her ex-husband. It's the face of the guy who has given away his Airbnb to her. And a lot of these guys have something toxic. Not every one of them, but it seems to be a very hard time for her. It has some horror elements and also some biblical elements. And as the story evolves, it gets very, very bloody. So very strange things happen. It's not sure if she's imagining these things or if it's really happening. So it's sometimes really disgusting, but it has some very biblical elements, as I have said. So it is one of those movies that each time you watch it, you discover something more. And if you dig deeper, you will always find a meaning which has been taken from folk horror, maybe. And at the end, has some very terrifying scenes. And I just see, yes, the scene with birds is very scary. Yes. It was last Saturday when I watched the movie Saturday Night, and I was sitting in front of the TV like this. And I couldn't believe what is happening there. But when I read the interpretations afterwards, I said, man, that's something really impressive. So it was disgusting, yes, but very artistic. So the effects are very, let's say, beautiful, even if it's bloody. But I think this is something we can share as Harukis, that it is something we like, because it's something that is happening in the real world. So you're not entering a fantasy world. Again, this is a typical element of Murakami. It is in the present world, and the strange things happen in our world. It's not another world with another strange happenings like Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter. So it is this typical magical realism, and it is not sure if the protagonist is dreaming this or if this is actually happening. And every time they have to cope with something stressful in their life. So they're seeking a refuge, they're seeking escape from their daily life. They have returned from maybe a trauma. This is the same we have with Kafka Tamura, who has the trauma with his father and his mother. Killing Commendatore. It is a protagonist that has just separated from his wife and needs an escape. Same thing with Colorless Tsukuru Tazaki. Same thing with Sputnik Sweetheart. Same thing with Hardboiled Wonderland. It's always this element. You're returning from an episode that has totally exhausted you, and you start to build your own fantasy world in the real world. And this is something that has happened in Men as well. So give it a try. Drink a Coke before that, because it may scare your stomach. It's just a simple warning, but maybe the audience here is used to this stuff. But it's very beautiful operator's work. Yes. So the effects are really well done. And I don't know, the things on the screen are disgusting. Yes, but I think if you pause the film at several times, you can sell it as an artwork. You can take pictures out of it. And Murakami is the master of projecting pictures inside our mind. Simple as that. So, there's something else I wanted to share with you. So, I think that's fine for Hardboiled Wonderland for now. Of course, if you have to add something, you are always free to use the chat. But I wanted to share an article with you from the ID magazine. Because as Blind Willow Sleeping Woman is being released these days, they have shared an article with 5 adaptations of Murakami you have to watch. We have talked about them. Already, but I think we can use this opportunity to do a little breakdown. We don't have so many adaptations of Murakami, but we are always happy to talk about this. By the way, has any one of you watched Drive My Car lately? After our first stream? The scene with fallen apples is really impressive. Yes. Did you think of the Bible as well? First thing that came into your mind? Let's drag down here. So, this article has 5 movies for us we need to watch as Harukists. And the first one he is quoting us is A Girl, She Is 100% by Naoto Yamakawa from 1983. In my first stream, I have shared a segment of it, I think. And this one is also very artistic, and someone in the chat said that this looks like Godard, and this is really the case. We can just read it here. Murakami rarely sanctioned adaptations of his work in the 80s, but nonetheless, one filmmaker in Japan managed to get permission to transform 2 of the writer's stories into short films early on in that decade. By the way, this movie is available on YouTube. You can watch it for free. In 1982, Naoto Yamakawa's Attack on a Bakery concerned 2 hungry men whose plan to rob a bakery is disrupted by an indecisive woman ordering croissants. The following year, A Girl, She Is 100%, inspired by the 5-page story that later inspired Murakami's Opus 1Q84, combined stop-motion editing, colorful collaging, and the sights and sound of booming 80s Japan for a 10-minute creative explosion that harks back to the French New Wave. The latter story concerns a man who spots a girl on a Harajuku backstreet, only to then imagine them drinking cocktails at hotel bars and watching Woody Allen movies together. The short film would go on to reach international film festivals in Edinburgh, London, and New York upon release. You can find it alongside Attack on a Bakery on YouTube today. Yes. So give it a watch. You can't lose anything. It is with subtitles. I don't know. It's very close to the story. Also a little bit limited, caused by the small budget. But anyway, something really interesting to watch. Let's go on. Tony Takitani. We have watched the trailer in the first stream. So this one is from 2004. Tony Takitani stars Issei Ogata, by the way, very famous man, as the lonely son of a wartime jazz trombonist whose chance for happiness as a married man is spurned by his wife's excessive spending on designer clothes. In 2004, the film won director Jun Ichikawa 2 major prizes at Locarno Film Festival. Ichikawa's minimalist film offers a hypnotic viewing experience, thanks to the washed-out color palette and nostalgic tone, and camera work that repeatedly pans from left to right, as if slowly turning through the pages of a book. A transcendent score by veteran composer and Oscar winner Ryuichi Sakamoto, meanwhile, seeps the film in an atmospheric blend of delicate jazz piano. So, what are you guys waiting for? I think this is the ultimate Murakami film. And then we got Norwegian Wood. And unfortunately, Norwegian Wood is not the film that is a good example. I don't know if it should be quoted in this article. I have my difficulties with this film. It has a very, very heavy tone. Doesn't transport the bittersweet humor of the book too well. Interesting to see what they made out of it, but over and all, not that good movie, in my opinion. I don't know what you guys think, but they could have done better. Because Norwegian Wood is a very sensitive book. But it has the funny moments which the film doesn't have. I think it's too heavy. Too heavy. Let's go on. Burning. So Burning is a very great film. A year before Bong Joon-ho's Parasite transformed the status of Korean cinema in the West, another outstanding Korean film deserving of similar praise bowed. That film was Burning, a psychological thriller that observed a mysterious and magnetic love triangle between characters played by Yoo Ah-in from Hellbound, Jong Jong-seo, The Call, and then rising star Steven Yeun from The Walking Dead. Adapted from the Murakami short story Barn Burning, written in 1983 and later found in the 1993 collection The Elephant Vanishes. This brooding and enigmatic 2018 film adaptation is a masterwork by the esteemed director Lee Chang-dong, himself a former novelist. Regarded as one of Korea's all-time greatest filmmakers, Burning was his comeback after an 8-year break from directing. So, Burning transported the story from Japan to South Korea, and also made a very smart move by pushing the story to a border town, so which is close to North Korea. I think the city's name was Paju. And it plays with constant stress situations for our main protagonist. So as he lives quite close to the border, he always hears this propaganda calls from North Korea. But also he has his problems with the very mean character played by Steven Yeun. In the last stream, I shared a scene of the movie. You can rewatch it. I won't show it now because, as I said, YouTube copyright is very harsh these days. So Burning is a must-watch, definitely. And then we have Drive My Car. I can't repeat it that much anymore, but Drive My Car is one of the best movies I've ever watched. Very intimate, very close. Great actors. Yeah. Unless you were sleeping under a rock, you probably already caught wind of this art house sensation from Japanese filmmaker Ryusuke Hamaguchi, which stormed both Cannes in 2021 and the Oscars in 2022, winning Best International Feature Film. A modern art house classic, it's one of the best Murakami adaptations out there. For me, the best. No question. Drive My Car tells the story of stage performer Yusuke Kafuku, who listens to recordings of his late partner's line readings while being driven around Hiroshima in a red Saab 900 Turbo. Ostensibly, he is preparing for a multilingual performance of Chekhov's Uncle Vanya, a play for which he is also training an ensemble of actors. But between the lines, this engrossing 3-hour drama offers a delicate exploration of loss and grief that feels faithful to Murakami's sprawling and dreamlike writing. I was drawn in from beginning to end, Murakami told the New York Times. I think that this alone is a wonderful feat. So you can't be more honored if Murakami himself says that he was drawn into this from beginning to end. And Drive My Car definitely is a must-watch for everyone. I'll be angry if you don't watch it, so please watch it. Very great movie. I also wanted to share something with you. So the next live stream will be a little bit different. It will be a gaming live stream. I will play a game with you live. But of course, this game is Murakami related. So I will tell you the title now. Maybe you have heard of it. So the game's name is Memoranda. Memoranda is a game that has been released in 2017. And it is based on several short stories. So it is a 2D adventure, animated beautifully. I haven't played it yet, so when we launch the stream in the next time, you will see me play it for the very first time. I want to share it with you because I don't know. I think a Murakami game is something special. Let me check out the description. And I can also share the screen again. So we have reached the end of the stream for today, but this is something I wanted to share with you. So Memoranda is a game about forgetting and being forgotten. A point-and-click adventure game with magic realism elements that tells the story of a young lady who gradually realizes she is forgetting her own name. Is she really losing her memory, or is there something else that could explain the strange circumstances? The story happens in a quiet little town where a few ordinary and strange characters live together, including a World War II surviving soldier to an elephant taking shelter in a man's cottage, hoping to become a human. There is one thing all these characters have in common. They are losing something. It could be a name, a husband, or even someone's sanity. The story is inspired by various Haruki Murakami short stories that describe a surreal world full of lonely characters. Yes. I hope it will be cool. I think it has some very good reviews. I'm very stoked to see how this will perform. So you will have the announcement very soon. I'm not sure when we will do it, but I think in about 2 or 3 weeks. Maybe later, maybe earlier, when time comes. But I will let you guys know. So if you're interested in Murakami, if you are interested in games, please feel free to join the stream then. I think it could be very funny. It will be very funny. Gaming is always fun. Until then, I hope you have enjoyed today's short show. It was not that long, but It was very good to talk to you again. In case you have feedback, just let me know in the comments. I'm really happy to talk to you every time. And also next time we'll have a bigger round, hopefully. We will switch the times, the streaming times, so more people can join. And then we can do a little round on Discord with video, talk together. Maybe we can do a little reading round. Also show, share what we have read in the last weeks. Until then, I'm wishing you a very good time. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Sit back, relax, enjoy yourself. Never stop reading. And I hope to see you guys soon. Take care. And have a very wonderful evening. Never stop reading. This is something I'm always telling you. Never stop reading. And in general, never stop to read Murakami. Hope to see you soon. Have a wonderful night, everyone. Bye-bye.